Step up with it. Number 17. Also, People's Corporation number 8. And this is an exciting year for me. I'm thinking stuff is on track. I might be the only one thinking that. A lot of people freaking out like, oh my God, we're fucked. And others are just waiting for prophecies to fulfill. And I want to say, there's all kind of prophecies, right? But you don't have to go to the prophecies. You look around, you can see this the current system, and the system is a big machine. People pointing fingers to other human beings and getting fear and loathing on it. When we have to understand we're in the belly of a not a beast, because a beast is a living thing. This is a machine that came about that we constructed, and it's very efficient at producing results in the material plane as instructed by those who designed it, which is us. Now, at this point, undoing all that and shifting into another gear that might actually not destroy the planet, not tear it up, we wouldn't have gotten to the fine-tuned level of science and sophisticated machinery and technology, which can be used wisely. And so, regardless of how that happened, we're here now. And that's the thing that's coming. It's making it a metaphysical situation, whether you're a materialist or not. It's an existentially transcendent situation. We have maybe 20 years ahead of us to begin to shift our ways, and already locked into place is a lot of consequences. It's not just global warming. There's all kind of series of consequences from doing things in running an economy with externalities. In other words, you're not taking account the full consequences. We've done that on many levels. There's many reasons why we're doing that. It's a reductionist, materialist, mental-based paradigm, and we're all complicit and we're all part of it. And now we're coming to a place where that doesn't continue because we are crashing the planet. What does that mean? We're crashing our society. We're not crashing the planet. The planet survives. Some of us may survive in pockets. At this pace, the ones that survive in the pockets are the ones that already have established these bunkers. But they're thinking that that's their A plan right now. Just let this thing ride right off the cliff because they can't figure out how to change it without putting themselves in danger. So stop pointing fingers to the elites. Yeah, I just skipped around a bunch of arguments right there. But we're all beginning to understand the situation. Yeah, we're gonna try to get these elephants to fly, baby. Is that an elefly or a butterfant? Yeah, but and then the people that get it aren't the people running the show, because people running the show to get to the place of running the show have had to be good at the different tactics and perspectives that set up this machining. I mean that you know that are imbued in the machine that's taken however many hundred years to get here, and probably longer still if you take into account the whole logic of empire, which eventually becomes this empire by itself is almost there's a top down thing going on. There's a thing about authority figures. There's all kinds. It's a complicated paradigm. But where the rubber meets the road, as it were, is in each of our lives and how we can, take responsibility for changing it. So now we got look. There was a vanguard. We have a vanguard that gets it really vividly, and those are breaking into the doomster camp. That oh my God, there's nothing we can do. I mean, fortunately, there's still a lot of people being constructive about, well, look, we better handle this, we better handle that. I want to point out Alan Kirk as the FB friend that I know of that's doing that coherently, actually staying on top of the different symptoms and the possible solutions, because it is complicated. It's one of the themes I keep coming back to. We want it simple, but it's not simple. It's complicated. Now, there is a level of simple and there's a level of complicated. We all know about polarities, hot and cold. There's other polarities that aren't really binary. It's more like waves or parts of phases. There's a simple level. There's a complex level. Uh, the organism in a species usually handles the simple level of what they're each individually doing with their five senses, whatever it is. The complex level is happens organically in the ecology of their species and inside their body, all the complexities to keep them going. Now we've come to a place where we've decided we want to understand how all of that works, how all of our body works from a mental place. To do that, we've gone very materialistic, and then at the same, that's off on a tangent. But we've also uh, we're handling we've gotten into the ecology of resource and still handling it from a simple place when it's much more complicated than that. We've come to discover. So now corporations have, as the science, the machine that handles this has amped up to that level of complexity, and so corporations, but their mission is still simple, comes from the simple logic of, yeah, all we got to do is make one product and then get exchange rates instead of understanding the whole ecology of how it works. If you understand the whole ecology of how it works, you would not abide with an economy that allows for externalities. In other words, piles of garbage the size of continents in the middle of the Pacific. That would never be a logic. Now, that's an ecology that we've gotten away from. Simultaneously, we've gotten away from the ecology of community, and there's a way to bring it back along those lines. And but we're in the situation where each of us are caught up in the current system. So, in order to do it, first of all, as I say, it gets metaphysical because we now have to come together or go down together. There's no escaping this separately, and there's no succeeding separately either. Uh, so eventually, everybody's going to feel it. But for right now, the vanguard feels it. Now, the vanguard, hopefully, there's a vanguard venture capitalist, and there are vanguard lawyers, and there are vanguard scientists. And it turns out, yeah, there are all of those. Because what needs to happen is another coming together of kind of not ruling, of a guiding elite that respects across these boundaries that currently are chopped up into profiteering schemes, almost, you might say. But everybody's in their profession and they only listen to authority figures that have been, granted that authority by succeeding in this particular commodity, shall we say, based system. It gets a little complicated here when I go. But the simplicity of it is that we've got to bring it back to the different things we can each of us do. And so each of us work every single day at jobs, and those can be broken down into a different approach. We'll call it the community-based approach, where you're contextualizing both your use and your production with real affiliations of real people that you're accounting for. This is how you begin to stop creating externalities and understand what your real resources are and what your real resource base is. And this sounds really abstract and difficult to do. It's no more difficult to do than what we're each doing every day. But to get to the meaning of it, where it would be something simple for each of us to just flow into, somebody's got to break out the models. And the models happen at a bunch of levels. They happen at like the small business level. They happen at the individual level. At the individual level, what's stopping an individual from getting more involved with some of these directions? And what could entice them into getting more involved with some of these directions? And so what could entice them is opportunities that provide the benefits of what it would be like to really start working along community-based lines, which would mean festivals of people that know each other, getting off the internet and out of your little cubby and starting to work with people. When you create businesses that offer job opportunities that serve community needs and honor your own input as what formerly known as an employee is now a co-op owner, and honors you both as the raison d'etre of the business, what we're still calling business, I guess, but also the assets, so that um, any troubles you may have are helped along by the rest of the community, and you have access to whatever educational information is available to the community, and all of these things give a context for people to be cooperative and start working together. And this can be broken down into modular things that can be made available, but it's not one hippie talking in to a video. It's about you got to get a crew together, and who do we need to talk to, and where can we break out some models. I think we can also do a website that just describes what the parameters that I'm talking about right now. These are generic. In other words, somebody else could step into this role where I am at right now and start trying to gather a crew to do whatever it sounds like I think I'm saying we need to do. Put all this information on a website, make it open access. I don't want to say open source because people then will mess with the information. You can have parallel sources, and the point is the way things break out is new paradigms. Finally, some people see we're in a year where the communication needs to get lucid, and I feel that it is getting lucid. We get some people really understanding where we need to go, and here I'm going to throw in Eric Nemeth. He keeps really insisting on the idea that we're not going to be wholesome until we get back to tribalism. And I'm saying that's indeed correct, but the modern version of that could be something more flexible and loose, especially if we don't let the global networks crash, or we maintain some networks. Then you want to be part of your local food tribe, and you want to be part of your local culture tribe, but then you can be part of some more tribes all across the world, and it's a context for making relationships cooperative. So yeah, right now people are stuck having to make money to pay for things they need. So the alternative is to get some of the things you need by doing some work a different way, where you're not necessarily getting paid in cash, you're getting paid in resource. That's the community-based paradigm. But the two work together. I've described this before, how a business can transition into it. It's simple. You identify what you as a business can do with respect to the resource base of your own people. You start with your own people, our family. And then you say, okay, well, we have the town, including whatever you're doing in your business, and then what everybody else can do as off wherever they live. It's all you unify. There's a metaphysical concept. Bringing it all back to the one means, you don't separate your hobbies. You don't do different parts of your skill. You're a useful member of the community, and your purpose is to keep the community healthy. And the purpose of the community is to serve the sovereign intentions of each individual, and each individual understands their happiness with respect to how well they're like received and appreciated and enjoy the fruits of their community. And this sounds like a pie in the sky, but what it is higher order economics. And if you start to do it, it takes over the lower order economics, because now you can actually, all the advertising bullshit is like, here, try this, you'll be happy forever. Well, now we're doing something that actually might deliver on some of that. And you'll be able to steal employees quicker than you'll be able to steal possibly and steal this is how you win a hand-to-hand combat for the life of the planet as a paradigm shift. But the old one is crumbling, so it's not even fighting back. The old paradigm is on automatic, trying to, as soon as you separate the human beings involved with that machine, then there's five more ways to appeal to them besides their pocket. You say, look, yeah, you got more money, but you can't buy the things you need. Here, start working with us. The things you need are right here. We start working at. First thing you want to do is local food production, and okay, that puts you in direct confrontation with the mass food producers. So start talking to them. Some of the franchises aren't so evil, and none of them are evil. They're all fulfilling their function, and some of them do it more efficiently than others, and it's the whole community and like good neighbor thing that we expect from businesses. It's not built into the actual logic of the economy. So that's why it's being, you're just hoping people will pay lip service to that. I mean, will honor that because they're human beings. But here, actually honoring the reality of the human being is a higher order economics that understands the uses of the values that we're creating, not just in numerical terms, but in terms of like how vital they are to the needs of the community and the needs of the individuals and the needs of the planet to stay going. So it sounds more complicated. It is, but that's why we have AI, and we can use it to like fine tune on so many levels. So we need to unify all the talents of all these generations, the techies, and what's left of the visionaries of the 60s and the 70s, like myself. I know I went into sleeper mode after a while, but I could see 50 years ago, 50, and a lot of others could also, that things were never going to take hold until this moment. And which made a lot of the things that happened in the 60s. But you know what? Y'all missed some of that energy because that was live energy. This you can't explain. I'm saying to the people, it ended in '75. You've been able to you can revive it here and there, sort of, to some extent. Burning Man, no, not really. Too metallic. The Rainbow Gatherings, to some extent, maybe. The Grateful Dead, yeah, maybe. There was an energy that was felt like heaven on earth. And the two big prophecies that come from the West are heaven on earth from the Jehovah side, and the Aquarius side, which comes from the Babylon astrology thing, says full enlightenment on all levels for everyone. The rest of the cultures only see it as a partial and almost like a collapse and a catastrophe because they're not seeing the full picture. And yet we need the healing energies of those indigenous cultures from all over the planet that know how to live gracefully. But we're not going backwards. We're going to, the complexity that Western culture brings to this is a possibility of a unifying of the hierarchical, intentionally benevolent, but in point of fact, clumsily, you know, oppressive to some extent. But the benefits of all of us working together in balance with the sovereignty of each of us, understanding our power. And the way that comes together is in community. Community is left out because it seems a little not rigorous mathematically or something. I mean, you can visualize yourself with respect to the cosmos, yeah, but you don't even come into being without your community of nurturance. And I have a vision that the same thing is true of the cosmos. So there. But it happens. It gets, whether you want to believe that presence as a personal experience is actually the nature of the cosmos, it certainly is what we're dealing with here on Earth. So essentially, it's the same thing. And the machine we got out there is as materialistic as you can possibly get, and we got to bring it back with wholesome reconnecting to our intrinsic personal perspective, which is the same thing as saying spirit, and the values that comes with that, honoring your own worth, and then understanding that that's in the life of everything else around you, and honoring all that, honoring the ecology of that, and honoring the economy of that, and honoring the politics of that, and it can be healed on the ground, and that's our intention. And the People's Corporation means to gather up all the strands of actually, and then take it to the marketplace, toe to toe. Here's a better deal, people. Work for a company that's actually honoring you as the reason we're even doing this, and then you own it, and the resources that we are able to, you know, muster up are essentially yours in context with the rest of the community. And the way this plays out is very complicated fashion and idiosyncratic and intrinsic to the individuality of all of us and all of our different communities of joy, and I would want to say art and music. And when we start releasing the art and music to this cause, then you will see the juice that's possible. But we have to get out into the fields and understand and let the birds in on this, and all this wonderful plant life that's really the mother and the whole planet, and the cosmos is ours if we stand our ground and understand, oh yeah, everybody's waiting for something to happen, and the authority figures, we're the authority. You understand the karma of this? But the same people that want a magic wand waved by a socialist solution or a government solution, and then they point fingers at the Jehovites, so they're waiting for God, some force from the sky. You're both waiting on something that you both need to be taking hands on and doing it for real and understanding all the complexity of it. You have to honor all the different parts of who you are. It's not just all up in your head. All right, I got to be a little bit of a rant. There's a lot to say, and these are coming to an end because we're coming to the next phase, which is finding our little crew. But at the same time, we need to power up and find ways to spread the energy of getting it grounded and connecting. And I think there's ways to do that. And it's not us versus them. The new paradigm is a healing paradigm, it's a cooperative paradigm. As the old one crumbles, it gets pulled in to the new one. But whether or not it stops the worst of it, of what may come at us, what's coming at us will be weathered much more intelligently as we start bringing it together. If we don't do this, we fly apart, and only things that survive are. So I'm pointing out, hey, doomsters, stop saying there's nothing we can do. Stop being gloomy about this because you know what? There was no other way we were going to get to a transition this heavy. There was no other way. It was going to happen. Uh, and the vanguard gets it first, so we have to start breaking out models and stop pointing fingers at the people that don't get it. People are getting it, they just don't know what to do about it. So as things that can be done about it start showing up, you'll find people will start moving towards that. And again, forgive everyone, including yourself, and don't hold back. That was a supposedly a message from the on high, but not to everyone, to the vanguard. Everybody else should be checking each other and really understanding we're all part of this. Stop pointing fingers at everyone else. But don't unleash your fury on people. Unleash your best intentions, and we'll get there. Oh, I don't know if we'll get there. We'll get there if we engage this, and we'll get there. Each of us individually, we will learn the lessons here, and stop pointing fingers because everything that's an obstacle is really an opportunity, and it's a lesson that we need to learn.